this PowerPoint presentation as well as the video recording, so you don't have to worry about taking notes or anything like that, because you are going to receive the whole video that you can go back and watch over. So I'm going to go ahead and start the recording and unmute Dr. Martin. Okay, I can hear you now. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Martin for the rest of the presentation, and I'll be back after the first half of the presentation to talk more about admissions criteria and admissions requirements. I am the graduate program specialist for one of the MBA programs, the Accelerated MBA program, but for now let me turn it over to Dr. Martin to go over all 4 of our MBA programs and tell you a little bit more about the program specifically.
So you don't have, I don't see the slides, Giselle.
Oh, really?
Nope. I just see myself.
Let's see, I'm gonna try something else. I'll just stop recording for a second while we figure this out. Okay. Oh, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Oh, it looks like Angela can't hear anything.
Okay, let's see, Angela. I might have to ask you to log out and log back in. If everybody else can hear, then it might be an issue with your connection. Unless there's somebody else that can't hear.
Can everybody else hear? I can hear, yes.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like everybody else can hear. So it might be an issue with your connection, Angela. Make sure that when you log in that you hit that you accept the audio. And that you want to share and use your computer audio for the session rather than calling in for the audio. So it is going to ask you when you log in. So in the meantime, I can remove you from the session, and then you'll just have to log back in and make sure that you click that you do want to use the computer audio unless you're planning to call in for the audio. Okay, so maybe we'll just wait a minute or so while everybody gets logged in, and then we can get started. And Dr. Martin, the students are going to be receiving a recording of this presentation, so I think we can go ahead and get started because she'll be able to just view the recording and catch the beginning if she can't otherwise.
Great. So why don't you go to the next slide? Okay, so this first slide is introducing you to our alums from the College of Business graduate programs. And we want to make sure that you know that we are AACSB accredited, so that's why you'll see that logo on every one of our screens, or every one of our slides. Okay, could you go forward? Next. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so the first thing you probably, I want to talk about is probably the question that everybody asks themselves: what's the value of getting an MBA? So some of the things I want to point out are, you can see them on the screen, basically joining a network of connected MBAs, which basically means we have about 6,000 alums from our program, from our MBA program from over the years. So when you join the program, you automatically become part of that network. It also allows you, getting an MBA also allows you to jumpstart your career. It can help you change industries if you want to go from the supply chain industry into the hospitality industry or the entertainment industry. An MBA can help you do that. It also takes you into a management level position. It also helps you get a promotion and a raise in pay. So that's another important part of the value of this MBA. It can offset the future costs. And also it brings you prestige, which differentiates you from others in the industry. In other words, having an MBA and being in management is a sort of a badge of, you've accomplished something and you're ready to go into middle and then upper management. So the other thing I want to talk about is the resources that we have for all our programs. We do have 8 programs. So what I try to do is point out all of the resources that we have for all our programs. First of all, we have our own Graduate Business Career Center, which is really important because the people that work there are the people that are there for you to help you, whether it's to change industries or whether it's to get a new job or jumpstart your career, and all the different steps that you need to go through, like learning how to write a resume, or if you're looking for an internship, getting an internship, things like that. We also have a graduate mentorship program, and this is designed to connect students with our alumni. It becomes a one-on-one relationship, and if you want to meet and work with one of our alumni mentors, you can sign up for that program. We also have a lot of workshops. We do Toastmasters, we do networking, we have all numerous workshops over the course of the year, and most of them are run through our Graduate Business Student Association. You also have the opportunity to join one of our advisory boards. We have several advisory boards, and each advisory board has a student representative on it. Some have 2. So that would be an opportunity to get to work with alums as well as other professionals in the industry. We do an orientation residential and for every program, which includes learning the case study method. We put you through team building exercises. You learn how to communicate, how to do presentations, how to write. All these things are important for you going in or being in industry. And then we also have, as I said, our Graduate Business Student Association, as well as an alumni network, and those are all there for you when you join the program. So we have 4 programs, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an overview of each of these 4 programs. It's a short overview, and then you can go and check and go and look on our website for more detailed information, and then you can either contact Giselle or I to get more information on them. So our first one is our Evening MBA program. That's been with us the longest. It's our original MBA program. It is a self-paced program. It's really designed for people who work during the day and want to take their classes at night. It is set up so that you can take as many or as few courses as you want to. You go at your own, as I said, go at your own pace. We have what's called an immersive residential, which is what I was telling you about earlier, where you're going to learn the case study method and all of the other things that you need so that when you go into class the first day, you are ready to just get into discussions in the class, to participate, and to keep up with what the faculty, the professor is teaching. We also have an optional study abroad. You go for 2 weeks, and it's in June, and that's a class you can sign up for. We also integrate what we call soft skills throughout the curriculum, which basically means we integrate for example, learning how to do presentations, learning how to improving your writing, working in teams and knowing how to work in teams, especially if something happens like a conflict comes up or you're trying to get meet deadlines, that kind of thing. So all of these things are examples of developing your soft skills. So another thing is, if you have been thinking, or maybe you're in the process of starting your own business, we have a whole infrastructure in not just the College of Business, but in the university that's based on the Institute of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And in the College of Business, we have the Beach Incubator. And so you can get more support and help in terms of starting your own business. And as you can see, the last part of on the last bottom of the screen, you can either get a general MBA or you can select from one of our 9 concentrations. And those are all explained in detail on our website. So if you look at this, what this is a profile of our typical Evening MBA student. The average age is about 31. You can see their GPA is about 3.2, 35% women. And then we have about 20% of our international students are in this program. And then the other thing I want to stress is that when you apply to get into an MBA program, there is no requirement that you have to have an undergraduate degree in business. In this particular situation, what I wanted to show is that we have our two top undergraduate majors are business and engineering. Having said that, we also have students that come in in literature, or come in from math, or come in from statistics, or join us with an undergraduate degree in anthropology. So we do not have a requirement that you have to have an undergraduate business degree to be able to succeed in this program. Our next program is our Saturday program. This is also designed for working professionals. And this is really, you have to be working when you go through this program. They meet on Saturdays, 23 months, and you graduate. They have 10-week quarters, and it's cohort based, unlike our Saturday or our evening program, where you can go through at your own pace and you select your do your own schedule and everything. In this particular program, you come in with a group of students and you go through the program together, so that on day one you start the program, you go through your orientation, and then you go all the way through until graduation together as a cohort. Take all your classes together, you go on your international trip together, you do everything together. The nice thing about a program like that is that you basically have a built-in network there when you start the program. And our two immersive residentials are orientation and then our international study trip. Our international study trip is 7 days overseas. We go to different places in the world. This coming one, we have one where we're going to Tel Aviv in January, and we have another one where we're going to Rotterdam in June. So there's, we go to a lot of different places depending on the focus of the program and how it fits with what we're doing in our classes. The other thing that the Saturday program is what we call a concierge program. Basically what that means is you pay a set fee for your program, and it includes everything. That means the first day of class, when you show up, we give you your textbooks, we provide you with your parking, all your instructional materials are included, your meals on Saturdays, since you're there from 8 to 5:30, you get breakfast and lunch, and then also it covers your international study trip. The only thing it doesn't cover on the trip is the ticket that you have to buy from Los Angeles to wherever we're going to meet in the country that we're going to. And once you get in country, pretty much everything is covered. One of the things that differentiates this program in the curriculum is this idea of looking at strategies through what we call the applications of the triple bottom line business model. And that really means that companies need to consider not just making a profit, but they also have to consider how they're going to develop their strategy around the impact that they may have on society or the environment. So all of that is what we call the triple bottom line, which is basically guiding strategic decision making in companies. We use an integrated teaching approach, which means we will have more than one faculty in the classroom in your second year of the program. We do consulting projects with clients. We have comprehensive case studies. Another favorite of the students is doing simulation games. Those are always a fun thing to do. You get into teams and you actually simulate how you start a company and how you expand overseas. The other thing that you get out of this program is you gain a global perspective. When you go overseas and you get to you go to companies and you learn what other companies in other countries do. So the whole idea behind this program is you're getting your MBA, but you also have this global perspective that you're integrating into your class, into what you do. So here you can see that our typical Saturday MBA student is a little older. It's about 50-50 in terms of ratio of female to male. And then you can see too that we have the three top undergraduate majors are communications, business, and engineering. And as I said before, we have a lot of other backgrounds or undergraduate degrees that come into this program. So if you want more information when you get these slides, just contact Rihanna Williams at CSULB and she can answer your questions. Next, we have the Fulltime MBA program. This is a daytime program. You go through the program during the week, during the days. You have 21 months to go through the program. You have 4 hybrid courses. And for those of you that aren't clear on hybrid courses, basically what it means is you'll have 4 courses that are 50% online and 50% in the classroom. So we do that at the beginning of the program to get you used to this online environment. We have 2 immersive residentials, 3-day orientation and the international study trip, the same as it is for the Saturday program. The other thing that we do is, because this program is really set up for people who are early in their career, really haven't gotten into or work their way up in their organization, we make sure that you can go through a career guidance workshop. So that is also offered. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that when you graduate from this program, that you have a job that is basically a career-related job. If you want to start your own business, you can also do that, because we provide you with a curriculum that includes both entrepreneurship and innovation. Having said that, what we do is we prepare you for entrepreneurship, which means starting a business, but we also prepare you for what's called intrapreneurship. And in terms of intrapreneurship, what that means is you can go work for a large company, like let's say GM or Disney or at companies like that, and they have parts of their company where they develop new products, come up with new ideas and stuff, and you would be well trained to be able to work in those companies also. Again, it's a concierge program. Textbooks, parking, instructional material, all of that is included in the fee that you pay. And as you can see, these students are younger. The average age is 24. It's about 65–70% women to male. And we have about 50% international students in this program, although it does fluctuate year to year. Again, the 2 most common undergraduate majors are business and engineering. And if you want more information about that, you can reach Giselle and she can answer questions for you. Okay, next, our online MBA program. For our online MBA program, this is the same as our Evening MBA program, but what we do is we have it in an online environment. It's designed for working professionals and also early career people. It is 50% synchronous and 50% asynchronous. And what that basically means is 50% of the time of the class is going to be in a virtual classroom where you all meet with the faculty, with the professor that's teaching it, so that you get to know each other's and you get to know the teacher, the professor in the class, and you go through assignments, you may work in teams, things like that. The other 50% is asynchronous, and that basically means you're going to work either on your own or with your team members, but you can decide when you're going to do that. So that's done on your own time. There's 8-week quarters versus 10-week or 16-week quarters. So for this, it's 8-week quarters. The evening classes go from 7 to 10 p.m. usually, although sometimes it'll go from 6 to 9 depending on the faculty. It is cohort-based also, and it too has the same orientation and international study abroad trip, and we also integrate soft skills in the curriculum. And in terms of the Graduate Business Career Center, even though it's an online program, you have the choice of either doing and working with our career people either online or face-to-face, so you can choose how you want to do that. But having said all that, it's important to keep in mind that just because it's an online program doesn't mean you can't come to campus and get involved in all of the events and be part of all of the events that we have going on campus. So for example, in October, we have an alumni mixer and everybody's invited to come to it. You don't have to just be in the face-to-face programs to be able to take advantage of what we have on campus. And for this, for the online program, we also have a part-time and a full-time track. And what we try to do there is try to be flexible enough so that if someone is going through the program and has a lot of commitments with work or family, and if you want to take one class instead of 2 classes in the 8-week term, you can do that. So our whole goal here is to be as flexible as possible for our students. We use the latest technology, and we have tech assistance through our academic technology service team. Our program is what they call Quality Matters Certified, so all the classes go through certification, and each class has a teaching assistant that works with the faculty. So when you need to have office hours, or when you need to have talk to a teaching assistant to get help, that is always available to you. Here's an example of the full-time program. And as you can see, if you look at year 1, in your session 1, you would take accounting 500 and finance 500, and that's how you go through the program. So this sets out the full-time program. And then on the second page, and the next one is an example of a part-time program. And I'm saying these are examples because it doesn't necessarily look like this. It does look like you would have one course in session 1 and one course in session 2, but they may be different classes than we have here. Okay. So for both our online and our evening MBA programs, remember the evening one was the one I started out this discussion with. Lindsay Sturck is the one that you would talk to get information or have your questions answered. So just a few things to keep in mind. I've told you about 4 programs, and what I have here are questions that you should ask yourself when you're trying to decide which program works best for you. If you have a strong need for flexibility, you may want to select the evening program. If you want a built-in network, then the cohort-based program is probably the best strategy for you. If it's important to be able to get a concentration, like have a concentration in finance or have a concentration in marketing, then the evening program is the best for you because that's where you can get your concentrations. If you're looking for a general MBA, you can pretty much do that in any of our programs. If you want a concierge program, in other words, you don't want to have to go to the bookstore to buy your books and then go over to parking to get your parking permit, all these things, then our cohort-based programs, the Saturday and the full-time daytime program, are the programs you would want. If you don't mind doing that, then you can look at the online or the evening program. And then how important is a global immersion to your career? For 3 of our 4 programs, the global immersion is a required part of the program. For our evening program, it's an optional. So if a global immersion isn't as important to you, and you feel like you need lots of flexibility and you want a concentration, then maybe the evening program is the best for you. All right, so now I'm going to stop and turn it over to Giselle, who's going to talk to you about the application program.
Okay, hi everybody. So I'm going to take over now for the second half of the presentation and talk more about the application process, and then at the end we'll wrap up with some time for questions. Excuse me, I'm a little bit sick, so that's why my voice is like this. If you have trouble hearing me or anything like that, please feel free to let me know. So I'm going to jump in and talk about the application process and what's required. So you do have to have a bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited university to apply for any of our graduate business programs. We do require a GMAT or GRE exam. There is a way to waive that, and we'll go into details for the GMAT GRE waiver, but if you don't receive that waiver, then you are required to submit a GMAT GRE exam test score. You'll also need to submit a resume, a video statement of purpose, a short response written statement, and 2 letters of recommendation. So we'll go over some of those requirements in more detail so that you know the application for the fall 2020 term opens tomorrow. So this is good timing if you're watching today, getting ready to start your application tomorrow. The deadline for international students is going to be March 1st, and the deadline for domestic students is going to be June 1st. So in the next few slides, I'm going to go over the 4 quadrants or the 4 different sections of our application. I'm going to let you know some information that you can skip that we won't need so that you can get through your application quickly, and also let you know what information we absolutely do need to make sure that you don't skip anything that we really need to be able to make an admission decision for your file. You should note that you do have to pay a now it's gone up to $70 for the fall, $70 non-refundable application fee. That's part of the application process. And you also have to submit, so aside from that online application, you do have to submit official transcripts for every institution that you've attended, and you have to submit official test scores, the GMAT cherry that we talked about. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like when you log in, when you click on CalApply, and again, you'll receive this PowerPoint with clickable links, so this will take you straight to our application page. So you're going to select the term that you're applying for and select that you're a graduate student. Once you get into the application system, this is what it looks like. So these are the 4 different quadrants, or the 4 different sections of the application that I talked about that we're going to go over in more detail. The first section is pretty self-explanatory, personal information. You're going to give us your biographical information, your contact information. The only thing I want to stress is that make sure that you give us an email that you actually do check regularly, because if we're missing anything that we need to process your application, that's the email that we're going to use to try and contact you. When you get admitted, that's the email that we're going to use to try and contact you. So be sure that it's an email that you check regularly. Now, that's the first quadrant. The second quadrant is the academic history quadrant. So you will want to list the colleges that you've attended. As a graduate student, you can now completely skip the transcript entry portion. You don't have to put anything there. You will want to give us a best guesstimate of your GPA at each institution that you attended. But again, that's just an estimate. Part of that $70 that you're paying when you submit your application is for our enrollment services team to review all your transcripts and calculate your GPA. So we're going to make sure that your GPA is correct. So don't worry about it being exact if you're not sure how to calculate a GPA. That is something that's going to happen. Under the standardized test, this is where you would enter your GMAT or GRE test score if you've already taken the exam. If not, you can enter the date that you plan to take the exam, and that's perfectly okay to submit your application before you sit for the exam. In fact, I encourage it because it just helps us speed up the processing. Say you submit your application tomorrow. When the application opens and you sit for the exam a month from now, in the meantime, we can start going through your transcripts, calculating your GPA, making sure everything else is there. But we won't, give you an admission decision until we do receive that test score. So it's perfectly okay to just submit the application and only enter a date for the standardized test section. So the third section of the application is the supporting information, and there's a lot in this section that you can actually skip. So you can skip over experiences, you can skip over achievements. You don't have to submit anything under the documents. That's something that you will submit some documents in another section, so not here. And for the statement of purpose, you can totally skip that now for the new fall 2020 graduate application. Now, once you've gone into the program materials section, this is when you're going to submit everything that we need to review your application for the specific program that you're applying for. So this fourth section is really the most important section of your application, and you want to make sure that you submit everything in this section. So once you click on that program materials section, this is what your screen is going to look like. There's different tabs. So under this documents tab, that is where you're going to upload an updated professional resume. So that is where we need to see your resume. Under recommendations here, you're going to give us the name and email of 2 recommenders, minimum 2 recommenders, up to 3, up to you. They can be either professional or academic. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Now in this questions section, that's where you're going to provide the link to your video statement of purpose. And there's also a short answer essay question that you're going to answer in this questions tab. So again, the fourth section is really the most important. You want to make sure that you submit everything in this section that we require. Okay, so the next section, letters of recommendation, we're going to go into a little bit more detail of what's required for that section. So like I said, you do have to give at least 2 letters of recommendation. You're going to give us the name and email of each of your recommenders. You're going to want them to give us a short summary of your history with that person. So a lot of the times recommenders will ask, what should I include in this type of letter? Is there a template? Is there a form I need to fill out? So we don't have a form or a template, but these are the kind of things that you can tell them that they need to include in your recommendation letter. A short summary of your history with them, a statement of the characteristics that they believe will enable you to do well in the graduate program, a description of some of the contributions that you've brought either to the organization or to the classroom in whatever capacity you've worked with them in the past. And they're also going to want to include a strong closing statement that endorses your candidacy for the program. So that part's really important. We want it to be clear that they think you'll do well in the graduate program. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the video statement of purpose. So you're going to respond to the prompt below in the video format. The video should be about 3.5, 5 minutes, no longer than 5 minutes. You can use a platform such as YouTube to create the video. If you use YouTube, make sure that you set the video to public, otherwise you won't have access to view it. But you can use YouTube to create the video, and then you just provide the link in that 4th section of your application. You can also use things like Dropbox or Vimeo if you don't want to use YouTube, so that's totally all right. We've had people use that, and it works totally fine. So this prompt you're going to see in the application, as well as in this PowerPoint that you'll get emailed to you. So you would just respond to this prompt. Something that I do want to say that I want to make sure that you're aware of, the best advice I can give for the video statement of purpose is that you don't just sit there and read. We want to get a sense of your personality. We want to get a sense of your communication skills. And if you're just reading off of a pre-prepared statement, it's hard to do that. So do be sure that you're kind of just off the cuff speaking to answer this question when you record your video statement of purpose. Okay. So we also have a short answer written personal statement that's a part of our application starting this spring semester. So in that short answer written personal statement, you're going to describe a time when you dealt with someone who was difficult, and you're going to tell us how you handled that situation and what you might have done differently. You're going to have 1,500 characters to answer this question. So it's just kind of an essay question, maybe a paragraph or two. Just to give us a sense of what you would do in this scenario. Okay, so we talked earlier about a GMAT GRE being required unless you receive a test waiver. To receive a test waiver in our MBA programs, you must demonstrate the academic ability to succeed in a graduate program. The way that you would do that is by sending us an unofficial copy of your transcript so we can see your undergraduate GPA and the courses that you took. You also must demonstrate that you have 7 years or more of significant managerial work experience. So you have to have been in a managerial role for at least 7 years. The way that you would show that is by sending us a copy of your resume, as well as a recommendation from a previous supervisor that can attest to your managerial work experience. So if you believe that you meet the criteria, then you send those 3 things to us at mba@csulb.edu, and the director will review all your documents and see if you qualify for that GMAT GRE test waiver, and she will get back to you. Well, we'll get back to you on her behalf, usually within 24 to 48 hours. It's a pretty quick turnaround. Okay, so now we're going to go into the frequently asked questions before we open it up to everybody's questions. So one question that we get a lot is whether or not our programs require work experience. For the Accelerated MBA, Dr. Martin explained that this is a program that's open to early career professionals. We don't require any work experience. For the Saturday MBA, we have a minimum of 3 years of work experience required. For the Evening MBA, we have a minimum of 3 years of work experience, and that's only preferred. I believe for the online MBA, it's the same as the Evening MBA. It's a minimum of 3 years of work experience preferred. Can you confirm?
Yes,
Perfect.
it is. That's right.
Perfect. So we'll have to add the online MBA on there as well. But yes, so online and evening minimum of 3 years of work experience preferred. So a lot of times students ask if they can either sit in on a class or chat with an alumni or chat with a current student, and we would be happy to set that up. If you're interested in that, please email us at mba@csulb.edu. Let us know which program you're interested in, which of the 4 MBAs, or maybe there's 2 of them that you're interested in and trying to decide between. Let us know, and we'll help facilitate that. And then, of course, that you can find more information on our website, as Dr. Martin mentioned earlier, specifically on our admissions FAQ page. Okay. So that's what we have for the formal presentation. And now we will open it up for any questions that you might have. Feel free to unmute your microphone, turn on your camera if you're comfortable, and let us know what questions you have. I'm also going to open up the chat box in case anybody prefers to type in. Any questions?
Good afternoon, good evening, this is Sad. I have a question. I attended undergrad from CSULB. So do I need to spell out all my previous schools or community colleges information with it, or just provide the transcript from CSULB?
Actually, in that case, you don't have to send in any transcripts at all unless you completed any coursework after graduating. But if you transferred into CSULB and you send in your transcripts at that time and then completed your degree there, we don't need to see transcripts, any other transcripts. We'll have access to both your CSULB transcripts and anything that you completed before starting CSULB.
Got it. Thank you.
We have a quiet group tonight. There's a few of you. There's 15 logged in. Okay, so it looks like someone typed in a question. They wanted to know the requirements to attain a GMAT waiver. Okay, so you have to have 7 years of managerial work experience, and you also have to demonstrate the ability to do well in the graduate program. Typically, you would do that by having a strong undergraduate GPA. So those are the two things you need. And what you would do to demonstrate that is you would send us a copy of your unofficial transcripts. You would send us your resume, updated professional resume, and a letter of recommendation from an employer that can attest to your managerial work experience. Those 3 things you would email to us, and we'll get back to you as to whether or not you qualify for the waiver.
And once you email those documents to us, it usually takes 24 to 48 hours. And you can send those to us even if you haven't applied to the program, if you just want to know if you're able to get it before you apply.
So question in the same line, the email from your manager, did it come directly to admissions, or can they send it to us and then we can forward it?
They should actually send it to you and then you forward it. So it should just be a letter from a supervisor that can attest to your managerial work experience. We prefer that it is on letterhead and that they actually sign, a wet signature is preferred for that letter.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we have one more question. So someone is asking again about the test waiver. When you say managerial work experience, do you mean only supervisors and manager job titles?
So when we say managerial experience, what we basically mean is that you have been in a position that is, you oversee some people, you work with people, or let me just say it this way. To have worked in retail and not have had any managerial experience means that I guess you haven't had it. So what we're looking for is people who are in a position where they've have worked with people, but also had some supervisory experience. I hope I answered that. Seemed a little.
Okay, so we have another question. Andrew's asking if work experience prior to receiving an undergraduate degree has any relevance to the application.
Yes, we'll look at all of your work experience. In fact, we have people who were working before they got their degree and were managing, and then they decided to go get their undergraduate degree for whatever reason, and we count all of you. I look at all of your experience on your resume.
I also have another question that was sent via private chat about the average age. So most of our programs have an average age of about 25 to 35. So this individual has a PhD and is in the middle of his career and is about 40 years old and is wondering how, maybe which program would be best for him or how that would align with our MBA programs. Dr. Martin.
So I would say that out of all of the programs, probably our Saturday program would really work, because that's where our older students are. And then if you wanted something that was a little more flexible and not lockstep like our Saturday program is, and you wanted to take more time going through and getting your degree, then our evening program would work for you? And then I'm sorry, I forgot. And then if you wanted to do a 100% online program, the online MBA program, and that's basically the same as our evening program. It's flexible, but it has no concentrations.
And I think this individual was specifically, it sounds like, looking for a cohort program. So I think with the Saturday program, that would be a good fit.
Yeah, the Saturday program would be perfect. And you go through in 23 months, and you go through with the same students, all at the same rate.
So we have a question from a student asking about a fee waiver. I'm not sure if you can clarify, was that an application fee waiver? If that's the case, we don't have any application fee waivers for our programs. Students do have to pay the $70 application fee to apply.
So no other questions?
Oh, one more. This individual is asking about acceptance rates.
So our acceptance rate depend on what program you're applying to. Do you have a particular program you're interested in? Saturday program. So our Saturday program has a pretty high acceptance rate, mainly because when the applicants that we have that decide that they want to, take that program are specifically interested in Saturday in the cohort-based program, and they're working, and many of them get a GMAT waiver, test waiver, because of all their work that they have under their belt. So for the Saturday program, I'd say that it's probably about 60 to 65% acceptance rate.
Okay, we have no other questions. I do want to remind you guys that you're going to receive a recording of this presentation as well as the PowerPoint slides. They're all clickable links, so you'll have access to everything that we talked about as well as our contact information. If you want to sit in on a class or chat with an alum, please let us know. And it looks like there is a couple of questions that are coming in privately, so I will answer those once we are finished with the session. But if there's nothing else that you guys want to ask to the group, then we'll go ahead and wrap up here.
Okay, so good night. And if, like Giselle said, if you have any questions, contact us and let us know how we can help you.